Keith Rubino is running for the 118th Assembly seat, and he was a part of a forum last night, a debate last night with his Republican opponent, Robert Smolin, and Keith Rubino is on the line right now. Keith, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How's everything going?
Good. All right, tell us, what did you take away from last night?
I took away that a lot of people were really impressed that sorry, apologize. I took away that a lot of people really enjoyed the fact that we talked about issues last night. There was no mudslinging. A lot of people came up after the debate and told me that they were extremely happy that we were able to have a back and forth and no attacks really at all. And
yeah.
I thought we did very well, obviously. I thought I talked about a lot of crystal clear issues that separated myself from Smolin, but I thought I did pretty well.
What are those issues that separate you? And by the way, back to the mudslinging thing, do you not think, though, the fact that the candidate has been arrested and is facing a court appearance on October 5th and faced one 2 weeks ago, but it was adjourned, you don't think that's relevant? Is that mudslinging?
I don't think it's relevant for me to point out because I'll tell you what, last night one of the newspapers published an article about our debate, and they talked about both of us and what we stood for, and they put in, it wasn't mentioned at the debate last night, but Robert Smolin, blah, 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 arrested, blah, blah, blah. So, I'm not interested in bringing it up at a debate because, it's out there. And it seems like constantly, every time somebody puts out an article, they mention it. So, I mean, the media is kind of already...
Your candidate, your opponent, I mean, I have to... This is me doing that to your head. Yeah. Your opponent is facing a felony charge, potentially. And and if he were to be convicted, he would not be able to serve out his term.
I would be...
wait a minute. And you don't think that that's relevant? Hello, it's the only chance you have of winning.
I actually think that I have a chance of winning besides that, but
No, you don't. You don't. I don't think you do. I really don't think you do. The district is so Republican. You're running as a Democrat, but still, I take your mudslinging line, and I get it. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, you can't find a campaign on the planet that if one of the opponents was facing a charge, that wouldn't be relevant in the race. And for you to say it's not relevant, I think is quite foolish, considering, again, it's the only chance you have of winning.
Right. So when I say relevancy, I say that, justice is going to be served on October 5th, depending on what the courts decide. So,
okay.
I can't say anything right now that's not going to do anything except...
Okay, fair enough. Last night, Manaske was one of the panelists, and we talked earlier.
Yep.
About you got caught in a bit of a slip up where you implied that Little Falls was in your district in the 118th. Little Falls is not in the 118th, and your opponent Robert Smolin pointed that out. Did you misspeak? Did they misunderstand you? What happened last night?
Yeah, there wasn't a chance for me to rebuttal, but, there's parts of Little Falls that are in the district. There's parts that are around the outskirts of Little Falls.
Sure.
Clearly, I didn't mean the city of Little Falls, but,
okay.
Mr. Smolin took advantage of the fact that I couldn't rebuttal. But, both of us were marching in the city of Little Falls Canal Day Parade. So, that just goes to show that, semantics are something that people, can obviously argue over. But, yeah, there's certain parts of Little Falls that go out and around, but not the city. So.
Okay, fair enough.
So Keith, I guess, and what Bill's kind of trying to say too is that have you spent a lot of time in the districts where the turnout for Mr. Smolin was significant, and ultimately what led him to overcome Pat Vincent? Have you spent a lot of time down there? And there you
Fulton County is our top priority at this point. And that's one of the reasons why I disagreed with Bill, because in Herkimer County, overwhelmingly went to Patrick Vincent. Mm-hmm. And I've been talking to some Republicans around Herkimer County and talking with them about my race and letting them know why, obviously I think that I would be a very good representative for not only Herkimer County, but for obviously the other counties. But, we've had people in Herkimer County want somebody from Herkimer County. So, I keep trying to tell them that, if you guys overwhelmingly voted against my opponent, vote for me as well. Democrat or Republican, I care about specific issues. I care about the issues that are important. So I'm going to Fulton County throughout the entire month of October. We've got one big event coming up on Saturday in Herkimer County where we've got about 40 to 50 volunteers coming out to knock on a bunch of doors. And then we're going to take that on the road and go down to Fulton for the rest of the month and really try to make some inroads there.
All right. Manaski was on the panel last night.
Yeah, there were a couple of areas that were different. One of the ones that comes to mind was the marijuana issue. There was a little bit of variance in economic development. What is it that you want voters to keep in mind that makes you different? I know you talked a lot about you're willing to work with anybody. You're not really partisan. You were putting the area first. What is it that is the core issue you think of your campaign that's going to make people vote for Keith Rubino?
Two things, and it seemed that my opponent was pretty upset about the fact that I kept mentioning he was going to be in the minority because he mentioned it a couple times after I said it. But the fact is, I would be in the majority, which would allow me to secure a lot of funding. One of the assemblymen up near the Amsterdam area was able to secure $10 million in Amsterdam because he's a part of the Democratic majority. I think who's the assemblyman? It's Assemblyman.
Either way, it doesn't matter. We don't care.
Santa Barbara. Angela Santa Barbara.
Okay.
I'm in the majority. I'm going to have a better chance at securing opportunities and resources than Robert Smolin would. And then the other thing is, he talked earlier in the debate about how it's important to have people involved in the process. And a lot of people talk to me all the time about how young people want to be a part of politics. We got to get young people involved. I really think that my candidacy would inspire a lot of young people around the state to step up and run for office and realize that you can win. You can win as a regular person.
How does that benefit your district, though?
What is that?
How does that benefit your district, people running from across the state?
I think that young people being inspired across the district would benefit the district, not just my district, but around the state. Okay. I think young people around the state getting elected would have that representation that we're missing right now. The out-of-touch people who don't know what the struggle is like.
Do you have another one? Because that one really doesn't count for the district. His question was, what separates you for your district? What separates you? So the first one was you'd be in the majority, not the minority. The second one, what defines you differently than Smolin for your district?
Sure. The two passionate issues of education and infrastructure. I've talked about it multiple times. Those are going to be the ultimate priorities for me. I will work harder than my opponent to secure the funding for infrastructure and education, and I will work harder for those things because I am filled with energy. I'm filled with the determination to get that stuff done, and I will talk with anybody, as I said at the debate last night, anyone and everyone who wants to help work on those issues, whether it's Democrat, Republican, or Independent. I just want to make sure that this district gets the most funding it can possibly get.
All right. And by the way, somebody just a story just came out today where they did a study on the 50 states and which state is the best state for teachers. And New York State comes in number one. It is, of all the states in the union, the best place to be a teacher is in New York. Do you think teachers make too much money?
I think teachers make a decent amount of money compared to the median income that we have here. I mean, the median income that we have in New York State is about $25,000, so teachers are about $35,000 to $40,000 a year. But I mean, that's still pretty bad when you consider that teachers are skipping bills, teachers are struggling to make their ends meet. So I mean, I feel bad for the people that are making $25,000. I think people in New York State, all over the state, are struggling to pay their bills. So I mean, I obviously would like to see a better wage for everybody in New York State, and that's going to be something that's going to be a long-term project for me while I'm in the assembly and working around the district to try and help bring some resources to make that happen. But teachers are struggling too. I mean, they make it a decent amount of money compared to regular folks, but they still obviously would like some wage increases as well.
I just asked that question to anger my wife today, so I figured I'd get off a bad start with her today. That's the way to do it. Good. I think, right? Yeah. She shouldn't have. She should have cooked dinner last night. That's how I look at it. For God's sakes,
you cook all the dinners at
Keith
home.
Rubino, thank you, man, and we'll do it again. Okay.
Yeah, thank you guys. And Bill, again, I really do hope to prove you wrong on that whole felony charge arrest thing. So we'll see how it goes. But again, I think the court will decide on October 5th.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
You want an opponent or you don't want an opponent?
Okay. What are you proving me wrong about?
I hope to prove you wrong in terms of winning the election based upon getting my name out there. Knocking
He's saying
on as
that's
many
not
doors
the
as
only
possible.
chance
Yeah.
that
Because
he's-
I'm not making any prediction on what is going to happen to Robert Smullen at all.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is there's a court appearance, and it could be sent to a grand jury. But you take offense to me saying that you can't win.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay,
I want to
fair
prove
enough.
you wrong. For
As
sure.
you
For
should.
That's what he
As-
wants to prove you wrong
As
about,
you
Bill.
should. I just wanted to clarify that. So,
Okay.
Keith A. Rubino, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too.
I'd like to point out two things. One, the fact that you are on the gravy train. You've married into wealth. Your wife is a teacher.
Congrats, Bill.
The second thing is Nagel commenting this morning that somebody ought to get Bill a Diet Coke. You are a bit salty this morning.
Yeah, I am a little bit. It is kind of like that. I don't understand why.
Because you thought it was Thursday and you came in
You're
and it
right.
was Wednesday.
Are you kidding me? It's Wednesday.